Welcome to For Advisors by Advisors. I'm your host, Evan J. Mayer, and today we have a very special guest, somebody who was actually instrumental in my setup for my firm and took care of a lot of things and took a lot of things that were on my plate off. This is RB Ellis. How you doing, RB?
Big crowd. Thank you, Evan. I'm doing well.
Awesome. So RB is a business performance advisor, very cool title, for Insperity. He's been there for 5 years. Actually, his anniversary date is this month, from what I saw. Is that right?
That is.
Awesome. And a little story on how I met RB. So when I was going independent, there was a couple things that were extremely important to me and to Annie, who was with us when we were going independent. And our thoughts obviously were at some point we wanted to grow, initially get our book of business together, get our office set up. But the first thing that was important as being a father of 3 kids was health insurance and making sure I could get good, affordable health insurance, vision, dental. And then the second thing was, and that was important for Annie as well. And then the second thing was obviously making sure that my payroll stuff was taken care of by a company that could handle everything for me. Come to find out, they do a whole lot more. They handle 401ks, they handle the federal tax withholding, the Social Security. They handle some due diligence on the human resources side. Insperity's been a great partner of ours. And actually, I was in Key West, and I was getting a call between RB and I was getting a call from an advisor at TriNet, which is another payroll company. And they were both competing for my business. And RB had said something that I liked, and he goes, everything is somewhat negotiable, so send me what you got from the other firm. And RB came back with a phenomenal deal and hit a home run, and we've been with them for the last 3 years. So that's how I met you, RB. Do you remember that?
I do, Evan. It was a very busy time for you. I know making that jump going from the W-2 side to the independent channel can be, a very big leap of faith.
Yeah, and I think as advisors are making the leap to either independence or RIA, or in some sort of structure where they're going to be 1099 by their broker dealer or their RIA, it makes a lot of sense to get a good payroll company on your side, specifically if you have, enough people. In our situation, it was 2, but we did want to expand and grow. RB, do you see a lot of people signing up with just themselves?
Yeah, very good question, Evan. Yes, as a matter of fact, and we waived our minimums. You joined Raymond James, and we waived minimums based on the company's overall size to go below our normal minimum of 5 people. So the fact of the matter is, yes, we do see that, and that allows people to make that jump and then grow from there.
Yeah, and it just gives, I would say it gives one less thing to worry about as you're getting set up and as you're going is that at least your healthcare and your payroll is set up, your healthcare set up. Everybody says that when you go independent, you got to spend a lot of time running your practice. Well, when it comes to Insperity, they handle everything for me and send me, every 2 weeks kind of a notice of what they're going to be doing over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, one of the things that originally the business was set up to help business owners with everything to do revolving around having employees. So like you said, right, that's payroll, that's benefits, that's doing it compliantly, retirement, all of the things in between, from the day they're hired to the day they retire, and everything in between. That in between part is something that becomes very important, because that's the real crux of having an employee. And that's what Insperity has been doing since 1986, and working with small businesses all the way up to enterprise size. So very proud of the fact that we've had such a great relationship with the independent advisors, the RJFS crew, and look forward to keeping it going.
Taking away RJFS, I mean, I'm guessing do you handle a specific region of the country, or are you everywhere?
I handle the entire country.
Okay.
Yeah, I have clients in Alaska, Hawaii, all the way down to South Florida, and everywhere in between.
And it's not just independent or RIAs, it's actually any small businesses that have an interest.
That's correct. Right. The minimums being that just a regular business on the street, because you're part of a mid-market national account, right? That's different. A little special treatment there. But all regular businesses Insperity would go to on the street, you need to have 5 full-time employees or more. And then, yes, we are able to do everything that we do for you, Evan, and for those businesses as well.
And when you were mentioning independent or RIA advisors, how many have you signed up through the last 5 years?
A lot. It's all I do. Pretty much, it's all I do every day. So yeah, there's quite a few. I couldn't even tell you how many.
You've been doing it for 5 years. What made you start doing this?
They have a very strong recruiting division that called me up, and I was looking for something that was more of a challenge than what I was doing currently. And my background is, I have a lot of background. Is I was in food, I was in medical software. I worked for an EMR, now called EHR, Electronic Health Record Company, and I was a golf professional. So, hey, why not try HR? So here I am. But the company itself, from our CEO on down, walks the walk and talks the talk, and they live it. They take terrific care of us, just like our teams take good care of you. The company takes that good care of us. So I'm proud to be a part of this company, and this will be my last gig, right? Riding off into retirement, working here.
If you would have told me when we were competing with TriNet that you were a golf professional and you could help my drive, stay a little bit more accurate, that would have come in handy.
I've played a lot of golf down there in Florida. It's a different type of golf down there, but we can talk about golf another time. But happy to do it.
For sure. What makes Insperity different than TriNet, ADP, or any of their peers?
Great question. One of the things that differentiates us, and this in a very high level, is the way we do things is different through our relationship with you, Evan. It is called a co-employment relationship in a PEO. You still have full direction, control, ownership of your business, hiring, firing, say so of your employees. But what we do in the co-employment relationship is we are now seen in the eyes of the federal government as the employer of record. That allows us to do fiduciarily, right, what we're responsible for, remitting taxes. We have to pay you. Then we can also, if we mess it up, right, the liability is ours, not yours. So if we screw up payroll, the IRS isn't calling Evan, they're calling Insperity. We own that mistake. Conversely, the other companies don't have it structured that way. They're not co-employing you. They're aggregating their services, which is what a PEO does. But the co-employment relationship allows us to act as a fiduciary. Then secondly, allows us to offer the benefit package to you without marking it up. We can't legally mark up the healthcare benefits as an employer. It's illegal for us to do. We don't. Again, our competitors do. They list that as a profit center. That's not where we make our money. We do it on the administration fees.
Yeah, which is one thing I think maybe you could talk through briefly is that when you're running a side by side, if you don't look at the all in, and that was really, really important when we were looking at the difference between TriNet and you guys, was their administration fees were extremely lower than yours, but their health insurance came up a lot higher, and all things equal, when we added everything up, TriNet was actually a little bit more expensive at the end of the day. Talk about how important that is to actually true up all the numbers and all the costs.
It's vital because one of the most volatile things, is everyone knows, is cost of healthcare can skyrocket. And one of the things that our fees, let's say they went up 2% each year, our fees are flat for the most part. They haven't changed in 5 years, and I know you know that. So that's predictable, where the healthcare can be less predictable. And this gives you a level of predictability because we're seen as the employer of record. I'm not a healthcare broker. So legally, our company can't mark up those benefits, and we don't. So the key here is that everyone else does. So when you do, like you said, do the all in, you'll be able to see the difference, the value difference. So I feel like, our mousetrap is better.
I would encourage anybody that is thinking about payroll companies or switching payroll companies to actually look at the bottom line true up number, because until I actually did that, you can't see it. I'm not speaking bad about any company. They're all competitive to some extent. It's really a question of, at the end of the day, where are you going to get your service model from? One of the things I do like about Insperity is when I did bring on associates, I literally just filled out a sheet, which took me about 5 minutes, and the payroll responsibilities and the rest of the setup was on you guys, which made it a lot more simpler.
Definitely. The onboarding is very straightforward, very matter of fact, and very easy. I know from many of our clients that ends up being, everybody looks at this from the lens of healthcare, right? Basically looking at that, but they stay because, and you mentioned it earlier, wow, they do all these other things. We had no idea. And it is a large amount of offerings that we have. And as the company grows, we can grow with the company. So our services will reflect the size of your company's needs.
Can you talk a little bit? I mean, there are advisors that I know that never went through a payroll company. What's your pitch to those advisors?
Well, honestly, my business title is business performance advisor. I'm an advisor just like them, and I've told advisors to stay right where they are. Hey, they've got, everything buttoned up where they need to have it. Their healthcare looks great. Hey, they're on their spouse's plan, what have you. We'll tell them to stay right there. If something changes, we're always here for them. But we're not here to sell this. You can't sell this. It has to be a business decision. And if it's a good business decision, we're going to give you all the reasons why. But if it's not, we're going to tell you, don't do this. And here's why. So I feel like I'm not selling, and I can put my head down on the pillow every night and know that I haven't, sold it.
Yeah, the idea or the process is that you really have to determine what's important for you on a time situation standpoint. And there's value in what you pay for if there's value in what you pay for, right?
Right. Exactly.
And if you don't see the value, you don't see the value. So when it comes to the independent side, have you seen people that were with your payroll situation and then maybe 6 months later, a year later, decide to go on their own and then they end up coming back?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like you've been reading my notes, and I know you haven't been, but the truth of the matter is, yes, we've had a couple that left, and when they found out what they had been told they were going to receive as it related to the payroll and the benefit package, 6 months, pretty much, both of them. I got one of them hit me up on LinkedIn, said, "Hey, we need to talk." So I reached out and they said, "We need to come back." And I said, "Okay, well, you operate with a net. I told you that when you left. We burn no bridges." So, and no one does. If they want to come back, we welcome them back with arms open. But the fact of the matter is that a team that you get from our side is specific, named, dedicated, permanent to your firm. So yeah, that has happened a couple of times.
And RB, talk to the people that don't think there's any risk in handling all their own HR, their own, and kind of in-house. The ones that are saying, I don't see the cost need in this, I can do this all on my own. What are some of the things that they could get caught on?
Well, a lot, right? So I'll give you a quick story. I think this will make sense. A couple of brothers, two people hired a third person, and this is an RJ group, I will say that. And they signed up with us and they said, "Wow, RB, we really love all of the benefits. This really looks neat. What you guys are charging for the payroll piece, this is great. We don't think we'll need that HR stuff. It's no big deal." And I said, "Well, what, know that our HR team is always there for you." "Yeah, yeah, yeah. It all looks good. Love the retirement. Okay, we're good." And I said, "Okay, guys." Now, 2 weeks, they called us up and he said, "Hey, we want to get rid of this person that we just hired." And I said, "Time out. You're calling the wrong person. You have your team, your HR specialist. You need to call them before you call me. I'm not that person." So they called their HR specialist. And it turns out that it ended up being more of a training issue. And that person was not let go. Had they let that person go, they probably would have got a lawsuit. And the Department of Labor would have been, "Well, why did you fire them?" "Well, because we wanted to." Well, you can't just do that, right? So our team keeps that compliance, keeps them out of the gutter and not having some potential really big claims coming their way. So that's just one thing, but there's many other, the compliance piece is a big one.
And the taxes, can you speak to that a little bit about the people that go out on their own and try to pay all their own federal Social Security, what the hassle that could be?
It's just another piece of the puzzle that you don't want to spend time doing. So when somebody joins us, because we're handling that payroll piece, we are remitting all of the tax dollars on the payroll on behalf of you and your company under our federal employment ID number. But we're taking care of all of that for you. The busy part of that for us is it's what we do every day. For you to do it and then you make a mistake, it can be costly and it can take a lot of time to do it anyway. So it is a very important federal, the FICA, the SUTA, the FUTA, all of those taxes are important, but that's what we do. That's our job. So
You know, a little shout out to Insperity. When COVID happened and the PPP loans came out, your guys' reporting software was really, really neat. But what's nice was you guys were extremely proactive in making sure that you created the right reports that we could give to the government during that time. And that helped out a lot of small businesses. So,
Yeah, Evan, to your point, that I think was one of the main reasons when all of our clients realized, hey, there is value in the money that we're paying in Insperity. Now we just had it validated, right? This is the big, we would have been struggling to get all of this from anybody else. And our teams worked timeless. I mean, they were working overtime, getting the code written to produce those reports quickly, easily, so that you guys could file and get the PPP money. 60% of all of our clients got it on the first round. The other 20% got it on the second round. And within reason, the other 20% never wanted it to begin with. So we really feel like we hit a home run there and validated our resources and our teams.
yeah, because back then it was all about time and time of submission and making sure you could get the right data. You weren't speaking to anybody on the phone through the government. So the report data you had to have had to be very accurate.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
So yeah, just last question here. You know, you're driving home from this beautiful golf course that you're in behind you, which by the way, he's not in a golf course, he's in his office. And you're thinking there was a couple points I wanted to make that on that Zoom call with Evan that I thought, might make some sense. What would that be?
Evan, thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that I would probably say, and there may be some groups that are sitting out there figuring out, do I go independent? What does it look like? Insperity can be that service that you can talk to ahead of time to get some of those numbers quoted to you so that you understand what we charge and what it's going to look like for your group. We don't want people to think this is going to be as difficult. Is it difficult? Yes, to make the jump to independent side, but those W-2s right now that might be at a wirehouse thinking about going independent, we can help you. And we're happy to do that. Very confidential. We understand the need for discretion during that whole process. So no one that we've ever had has ever been outed prematurely. So we can do that in very discreet terms. So I think that would probably be the other big key. And even if you don't end up being a client of ours, we're happy to help and talk with you.
I'll just piggyback on that. When I was making the move, I didn't actually officially decide to make the move until I think it was June 10th, and we went independent August 9th. So I was on the phone with you probably, I know it was during 4th of July weekend, actually, is when I was in the Keys. And you guys were great in the concept of making sure I got the numbers and understanding the importance. And what I also liked about it, and I think you never want to lose business as being in business, but at the same time, what was always nice was it wasn't like you were locked in forever. You weren't signing a 5-year contract. You weren't signing a 10-year contract. Basically, if I wanted to get out of the situation in a few months, I could have done that. And I think that's a great thing that you guys don't mandate.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, no one signs a contract with us. None of our clients. It's a 30-day out at any time. So we always say we have to earn your business every month. If we don't, you can leave. And there's no penalties. There's no fees. There's no fines, nothing. So I'm proud of that fact. And we've maintained a 99% retention rate with all of the advisors that we have. So if that wasn't happening, I think that number would be a lot lower.
Yeah, and the net benefit of that flexibility is huge. So I would tell anybody that is going independent or any difference in the RIA, by the way, yeah, it's basically they're opening up their shell company and they're going to be a co-employee of your company.
Right. It's the same difference. Independence to us is independence. And whether you go that direction or either side of it, we're treating that as a business entity unto itself.
Yeah, so I would say there no harm, no foul. You should do your research, see which of the companies is best. For me, it was Insperity. It gave me the freedom and flexibility to know that I had it in place. And 3 years later, I still haven't left them because I have found tremendous value. And I think at the end of the day, working with somebody who can really help you through those HR questions. We did have somebody at some point we had to let go, and we had to check what was the right way to handle it based on our state situation. And through the payroll, even giving somebody a raise is as simple as 5 clicks of the mouse on the website, and it's easy. So it makes life so much simpler. I would highly recommend and highly suggest, if you're interested, definitely speak with RB. RB, if anybody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Yeah, they can certainly contact me directly at my office. That number is 678-624-2925, or my email address, which is my name, just the initials r.b.ellis@insperity.com.
Excellent. RB, it was an absolute pleasure to have you today. And for everybody out there, hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. If you do, please like it. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, basically anywhere you get your podcasts. And we look forward to the next one. See you soon.